Eleanor, and you're listening to Collage's podcast, Making Homeschool Life a Little Easier. So, with that in mind, us homeschool parents often worry about our children's future and the pathways for them. Well, I'm really lucky to be talking to two young people today who've been home educated and are now attending Cornwall College. So, really grateful for you guys for giving up your time today. I know that time when you're at college is precious for either socializing or learning. So it's really helpful for home educating families really to hear from real people about how families go about things. We all know that the home education journey is a personal one, so everybody's journey is going to look different. But I think that's part of the fascination about hearing about what you did. So there's no wrong or right pathway here. It's just about enabling parents to consider all of the different options. So I've got a ton of questions for you today. But before I ask those, do you want to just introduce yourselves, say what course you're studying and why you chose it?
Hi, I'm Ehlana. I'm doing level 3 games design. I chose it earlier in August when I applied, and it seemed really fun to be able to make things and put them into something that other people can see.
Hi, my name's Lyssy. I'm in level 2 performing arts. I've always been very passionate about performing arts and performing in musical theatre, so I thought that sounded like the best course for me.
Amazing. Wow. I immediately want to know more about each of those courses. So hopefully we'll ask you questions that enable you to share a little bit more because they sound really relevant and really like where I could imagine lots of young people want to be. So at what point, can you share with me what point you decided or whether your parents decided that you were going to go to college?
I decided quite late on, actually. I think it was early August when I was looking at it and looking at the application form. Then I decided to apply for the interview, and the interview went really well. And so I just decided to go for it because it's such an amazing opportunity and it's going really well.
Wow. Okay, so that was August last year. So that's August
Yeah.
23. And then you started in the September. Amazing. Okay.
I think I applied around the same time. I was a bit later applying, um, but it just seemed like such an amazing opportunity to be able to do that kind of course, being a home educator, opening to kind of new like things that you can do and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you're traveling quite far to get to your course, aren't you? So that
Yeah.
how have you found that?
It's quite difficult, but I feel like when you kind of you want to pursue a career, you're kind of willing to put in the effort to kind of to get there and really try your best to be really present with the course.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. And so what did you have to do to get into college?
We had to have a certain number of things we'd already done, like GCSEs, and have, well, for me personally, I had to have a portfolio to
Mhm.
show them, which helps a lot, I think, to have a portfolio.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's totally my bag with Collage app because I think if young people can be capturing all the things that they're really passionate about and the things that they're doing, all their strengths, then actually either going to college or going into employment, that's a really powerful tool. And I did actually speak to your college about your portfolio because I think it really stood out. So you were obviously way ahead of the game with that one. Well done. And what about you? What did you have behind you when you and what did you have to do to get in?
I didn't have a lot behind me joining the course. I don't have GCSEs because I was 15 when I joined the course. Um, so I hadn't done GCSEs yet. But for to get into the course, I had to do 2 interviews and then I had to audition with either a monologue, a dance, or a song.
Okay. Wow. And in terms of your GCSEs, because I know you can't actually pass your college course without them. So are you doing them as you're doing the course as well, or how are you managing that?
Yeah, so I'm doing maths and English, so I'm still kind of home educated at the same time. I'm still doing that, and then I'll be doing my GCSEs this year before I move up to level three, hopefully.
Wow, amazing. Because a lot of people sort of homeschool families panic a little bit about the whole GCSE thing, and it's really difficult because particularly here in Cornwall, we have to go out of the county to actually sit the GCSEs because there's no exam centre in Cornwall. Um, do you think does it matter? Like, would you suggest to other young people, would you say to them, like, don't worry about the fact you haven't got GCSEs, but is it difficult to do your course and do the GCSEs at the same time, or how are you coping with that?
I am doing maths and English at the moment at the same time, and I think it's going quite well. I tend to revise on the weekends
Yeah.
as well, but of my own accord. I think that it being so far away is sometimes difficult for getting time off. But other than that, I think it's going really well.
And are you doing your GCSEs like through an examining board or functional skills or
I'm doing mine with IGCSE.
okay. Yeah. That's just useful to know because parents are also very confused about what
Yeah.
sort of exam board to go with. And what about you? What kind of GCSEs are you doing?
I believe I'm also doing my GCSEs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And are you finding it hard managing like the college work and the GCSEs, or does it just work for you?
It is quite difficult. But as long as you have everything kind of timetabled and set, a bit the same, I often do a lot of like revision on the weekends as well to fit
Mm.
both in.
And do you both feel like you're quite independent and self-directed with that? Like, does it work because you're like setting yourself a timetable and you know what you're doing, or are you having a lot of additional help to kind of work through that?
I think after the first few years of learning home education, because I came out of school at quite a young age,
Hmm.
I settled in really well with doing it. So I gained quite a lot of independence with the work I was doing anyway.
Yeah, I feel like kind of very much the same. I came out of school quite early, so I've kind of had a lot of time to adjust to home education, but I feel like it's just a much better suited plan for me.
Yeah, amazing. And that was going to be one of my questions was, um, have you ever been to school? Like, how long's your home education sort of journey been? So, do you want to share like how old you were and if you feel comfortable, your kind of reasons for coming out of school?
So in year two, we started flexi schooling
Hmm.
because of my severe allergies. I was having quite a lot of reactions to what was around me, like what they use on the carpet and the whiteboard pens. So
Okay.
it happened quite a lot. And then we found, for after doing that for sort of 2 years, that the work that they were setting, we were getting through quite quickly. And
Hmm.
with the added thing of having the reactions the days I did go into school quite often, we decided to pull me out at year four.
Yeah.
And I think it's just been such a good decision and it really greatly helped.
Oh, that's amazing to hear because it's not, for some people it doesn't work out. So it's great to hear why people choose to home educate and whether it works for them or not.
I was in like just about in year six. Um, about a year before that, I'd been diagnosed with some spinal issues that were really affecting me during primary school. And unfortunately, the teachers weren't very accommodating, neither were students. And it just became a bit unmanageable at the time going to school and doing all that work whilst also being in pain and not having kind of very reasonable teachers.
Oh,
So we decided to pull me out and do home education, which was definitely an amazing choice. And the college has been so much more helpful with those conditions and stuff like that, and being a lot more just helpful and kind about like having needing
yeah.
like extra support and stuff.
Yeah, just as you would expect anyone to be, but not always the case, is it? And actually, how did you find so you've talked a little bit, you both seem to be quite positive of your experience going from school into home education. What about the other way round from being home educated to now being in college? what have been like the differences and how have you found that?
I found it really good actually. It's got structure, and I tend to plan my work that way anyway. And everyone's really nice and treats you really well. You hear quite a lot about secondary schools being really difficult for a lot of people, I find,
Mm.
but it was college is like completely the opposite to how I would imagine that, even though I haven't been. Um, it's just been really good experience,
And
and
were you worried about like when you were thinking of going to college, did you have like thoughts that college would be like you've heard that secondary schools are, or
I
did you have some
wasn't really sure. At the interviews, it sounded really positive, and really the first sort of few weeks, I feel like I settled in really easily
mm,
and everything, and I feel like everyone's just been really nice here, so it's really good.
amazing. Amazing. And was that the same experience for you?
Yeah, I feel like transitioning from home education into college was also a really positive experience. Everyone's so lovely, students and teachers, and it's really nice to kind of have a support system where you feel like if you do need something, you can like confidently ask a teacher or peer. And it's just so lovely. The course is really great, and everyone's really nice.
Yeah, and I guess it's that bit, sort of them treating you at that level with a bit more respect. It's like, in school it's still quite didactic. You've got to call your teacher by their name and it's all hands up and it's all, whereas I think college is more, you're at a level and actually if you want to ask questions, then they're really excited that you want to ask questions. Whereas at school it's a bit inconvenient, isn't it? Because the bell's going to go and the teacher's got to move on and it's all a bit more like that. So it's interesting to hear because I'm not sure that all colleges are the same. So it's certainly great to hear that Cornwall College is running like that. Um, would you mind me asking you a little bit about your like when you were being home educated, what was like the kind of style? Because there's so many different ways that people home educate. And like I said, all of them are right for that individual. But what was home education life like for each of you?
I found it really helpful. We had quite a structure, so
Mhm.
sort of 9 till later on in the day, like 3 or 4. And I just found that I could fit in so much more learning than I ever could in school, which was very like interesting for me to find. And I
Mhm.
also found that when I was in school, if I had like finished something really early, they don't give you anything else to do. So it was really nice getting to do extra learning on top of what I'd already been doing.
So were you following like the national curriculum but at home? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I,
I'm sure you were expanding on that and doing
yeah,
loads of stuff that you just yeah, that's the magic of being a home educator, isn't it? You can really go deep into things that you really excite you and you can kind of skim some of the things that maybe don't.
yeah.
So yeah, amazing. And what about for you? What was it like? Were you quite formal like Alana or
I feel like we were a bit less formal. We stuck to the kind of basic maths and English so that I'd be able to do my GCSEs. But my parents were a bit more on like functional skills, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So like learning a bit more about life than kind of like classroom textbook stuff. But I feel like both are really great options, and it depends what works for you as an individual. The
Yeah.
most. But I just feel like that worked best for us.
Yeah. And I do think, I'm such an advocate of home education, but that you're so right that those life skills are just so amazing that you get to see, live and breathe them all day long, which then means that when you're an adult, they kind of those things come naturally to you, I think. I think it does help you in life. And certainly your college spoke about how well you came across at interview and your sort of approach to learning being a really, really positive. Um, so we've talked about secondary schools. What about like the sort of social aspect of going to college? How I'm assuming like you probably had a couple of home educated friends or you were in some groups as being home educated, but like how was that then going to college? Because I'm assuming you didn't go to college with your friends. Oh, did
Well,
you?
I
Maybe
did
you
have
did.
one friend come with me to college.
Okay.
I found it very positive,
Yeah.
and everyone's really friendly. I did have quite a large group of friends beforehand because my mum runs a few home ed groups
Yeah,
as
cool.
well, and we would do some different groups like every month or every like week or so.
Hmm.
And we did some at Will Martin where we
Yeah.
would go around, do some learning, and we did like the Silver Arts Award there. And I
Yeah.
found coming here, everyone's just very positive and kind. So it's easy to make friends.
And did they was that were did they have any kind of were they curious about the fact that you'd been home educated?
Some are a bit curious, but not in a way that's bad at all, just interested.
Hmm. Yeah. And what about you? How was it for you sort of transitioning in terms of like being social and
I didn't come to college with any friends because I live quite far away as well. I didn't really know anybody in St Austell, so some of the people in my course had already met each other through going to secondary school together
yeah.
or things like that. But I feel like it was really positive though, still coming here. Everybody's really nice, and I've made friends now, which is really lovely. And they're such a lovely group to work with, especially being in performing arts. Everybody's quite close
Hmm.
because we're working with each other all the time. But I feel like it's a lovely experience.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, that's so great to hear. It really is. And I'm sure it will help other families to kind of feel positive about stepping back into like a sort of system if that's what they want to do. Um, and so you've talked a little bit about your course. What are you hoping that your course, what are you hoping to go into? I mean, it's still early days, but is there a pathway that you've got sort of mapped out for yourself, or what would you like
At
to
the
do?
moment, I'm hoping that maybe I can do indie game development alongside maybe doing art as a business.
Hmm.
I'm hoping at the moment. I started an account on Instagram and I'm just gonna see how it goes for a while whilst I do my
Amazing.
course.
Amazing. Oh, wow. Well, if you want any followers, just let me know and I'll put it in the show notes. And what about you? Have you got a sort of pathway or anything you're kind of looking to kind of go into after college?
I'd really like to go into musical theatre,
Mhm.
which is why I think this course has been really helpful because we do a lot of kind of musical theatre based stuff and we do a musical towards the end of each year. So I feel like it's really great preparation for actually then going into kind of like outside musical theatre areas if you've already got experience in the course.
Yeah, amazing. I love both of those subjects. And are you thinking that you'll go on to do a university course, or are you thinking that you'll kind of just try and get out there and into the world as it is?
Well, at the moment, because I started when I was 15, I'm going to do the art course after this course.
Yeah.
So then I'll have two courses worth of UCAS points. And
Yes.
then I think I'll decide from kind of in a year or so, I think I'll make the final decision
Yeah.
and, see how my followers and Instagram is looking and see how out there I am at the moment. Just because I know university is a little debt, but
Mhm.
it's if it's useful, I would definitely go for it.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. You're right. It can be useful for the right kind of career, but it's, it like you say, it can not, and it can be very expensive. So that's yeah, good thinking. And what about you? What are you thinking?
I've always liked the idea of going to university, but I feel like I'm probably more likely to stay home.
Mhm.
But on the bright side of starting early is that you can get a kind of idea on what the subject is like, which will help you have a better decision when you want to choose whether to go to university or not.
Yeah. And actually, luckily for you in Cornwall, well, both of you, because we've got a great university in Cornwall that does games design and art and the performing arts. I think there's lots of you're in the right county in terms of being in the creative industry. So that's fantastic for you both. Um, do you have any top tips that you would either give a fellow homeschooler or their family about that journey into college?
I think it would be really nice if you have your portfolio ready and be open to a lot of things, because I'm doing an extra class on Tuesdays now, and there's a lot of activities around the college, and if you're open to them, you can meet new people and do a lot of new things. And even if it's not related to what you want to go into as a career, I think it's really useful.
That's amazing. Thank you. And any more top tips that you can think of?
I feel like it really depends what course you're going into, but I feel like just be really open to the experience and kind of show confidence in the areas because if you're going into a course, it's for a reason that you love it. And so I feel like you just have to be really passionate about what you're into and just try your best because that's all anyone asks is just that you try your hardest and hope it goes well.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, you're both like such bright sparks. It's so lovely chatting to you. And I really do think this will help people because people are quite nervous about, finding the right pathway for their young people. And I think actually what you've done is just highlight how positive the experience can be. And, some of those things that people worry about, like GCSEs and all those kind of things, they don't necessarily need to be a barrier to stopping young people kind of going with what they're really passionate about. So I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much for giving up your valuable time to chat to me today. And if there's anything you want me to pop in the show notes, like your Instagram or anything else, or your play that's coming up, then do shout me. But it's been really lovely talking to you both. So thank you. And I must thank Cornwall College as well for letting you have time during the day to share your experiences. So thank you very much. And for all you listeners out there, if you've got any more questions or topics that you would like us to cover, then do drop us a line at hello@collageapp.co.uk and that will be in the show notes. But until next time, take care and enjoy every moment.